Hello and welcome back to TED Talks Truth and Reality, about how and why the gay community and feminist groups are victimized by progressivism. Throughout this series, I have been trying to get you to become more aware that progressivism is an offshoot, a symptom of selfism. And I've explained selfism several times as being a holdover remnant trait from our primitive days when self-preservation and survival of the fittest was the most important thing at all costs. Well, that all cost and most important thing of self-preservation seems to have persevered and made it through all the machinations of the various civilizations and cultures, and today we are here with what we got. And progressivism is the most sophisticated current version of selfism. It morphed from Marxism to socialism to communism, fascism, materialism. Now it has racism as part of it, and it builds its relationships with all the various other entities through lies and deception, and says what you, that particular special interest group, wants to hear and believe and feel to be true, but isn't the truth and isn't reality. It's simply them lying, deceiving, and using falsehoods and bait and switch and anything that they deem necessary to reach a desired goal. Now remember, I said selfism was simply that, an individual's selfish choices to use any means in any way to justify and reach a personally chosen end result. Progressivism brings on board groups and individuals who think and believe what they're being told is true. Last week I spoke to the black community trying to explain how they picked you as a voting block to promise the moon and deliver you crap, because if you look at what has happened over the last 50 years, everything has gotten worse for the black community. Education has fallen off, abortions have risen, families have fallen apart, and crime and murder rates have risen, and poverty has risen, all under the guidance of progressives. Now, if that isn't enough common sense and truth and reality, then I'm misreading this selfism thing, because I believe you believe that you're being told the truth, and to admit that you're wrong is a contrary tenet of selfism. I've tried to explain that in order to balance that physical hold, you need to add spiritual truth to reality to balance it out, to give you a better perspective, so you're not down here in a hole, not even able to see the horizon, but up on an equal plane and see all around you. Without spiritual truth, that's impossible when one thinks and dwells in that dark, self-centered zone, at the dark end of the tunnel. That's where evil dwells too, and I don't mean that you're evil, but that's where it preys on the unconscious, innocent, lost souls who are swimming in that pool of muck and get caught up in those lies and are misled. We have been misled to this point in time by all our politicians. All of them get lost in that mire or malaise or ook and gook that is politics as usual. Selfism has gotten such a grasp in the political world that I believe that a lot of people really do get caught up in that DC limelight and lose their roots and lose their contacts with the past. going there with good intentions and quickly being overcome by powerful liars and cheaters and manipulators and corrupt people that mesmerize and change you. Now we're on the eve of election night, and our future are in the hands of the voters who can see the truth and feel the actual truth, not feel the lies that you've been told. They said that the last election 80% of the people felt they were doing the right thing, but they didn't, and they made a mistake, and look where it's gotten us at this painful moment in time where everyone is watching America fall apart. It's not united. It's divided into so many self-interest groups that, as I mentioned, the black culture has been deceived. The gay community has been promised things, and it drugged them along to now they're a voting bloc who can't see the forest for the trees. The women groups, they just don't realize how much progress they have made. They make an important argument about a $10, $9 a month contraceptive fee. That's all you keep hearing. To a man, it doesn't make sense, you know. But to women, I guess it rings a bell and say, oh, they're forcing me to have to pay for my mistaken pleasure. Whatever the case may be, reality says that that same $10 buys an innocent Christian girl or Yazidi captive and turned into a sex slave. All those little girls kidnapped in Nigeria, and you so-called women groups and feminist groups are actually so selfish. Again, you can't see the forest for the trees. The unions have been lied to. They're said that they're special, but yeah, they're special. They're the funding agent for the Democratic Party. And where has that gotten you? Your union ranks are shrinking. The various states are against unions, and maybe you need to update your reality too. They were necessary, they were essential at one point in time, but the social media and the internet have gotten so powerful that I think that an honest society could punish a wrongdoer through the internet now. However, the internet has also become the breeding place for lying and deceptions, because you don't know what's on the other side of that picture or that tweet or that Facebook or Instagram, and you don't know the motive or the motivation behind whatever communication has gone through the internet. The only thing you know is yourself, and that is what I have been trying to drive home into your head, that inadvertently or on purpose or mistakenly or as a divine design, I discovered through my own mistakes answers to the rhyme and reason and the purpose of meaning of being an individual. I understand it. I understand it as a unique object amongst millions of billions of unique objects that see the world from their own perspective. And I've discussed that in Lent, and I wrote about it in Lent, and I think that's what pains me in having to try and give these short vignettes of what I wrote about. I wrote about what I thought was an answer to help heal and soothe over the divisions that I observed as I made my mistakes and had some unique experiences that altered my view. And I was able to see some things that few ever get the opportunity. And I put those down in my 2 volumes. The first one on a self-enlightenment was the first 35 years of my life. The second volume, Freedom, was the next 35 years of my life. And how self-enlightenment got me to this point in time. You sometimes never question the things you have been led to by choice or by random design, but my visitation to you at this moment in time has sort of followed a planned sequence that years ago I threw my fate to the wind, so to speak, that I put it in the hands of the Creator, and said that I would accept those things that happened to me through my choices and through by circumstance, and fate, and try to be as open, honest, and transparent as possible, and in that process or quest or journey, try not to do no harm to others. I discovered in my self-enlightenment period, in my freedom period, that that's what Jesus meant. And he also spelled it out when he said at his very end, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And that is essentially what I'm hoping to get you to learn and understand. You got to forgive yourself. Then you can forgive others, because in forgiving yourself you see the folly of holding others to account, because they don't know what you do and you don't know what they really do. You just sort of agree on words that you exchange. And if all the words in the world were all truth, it would be so easy for us, and we'd be smiling and getting along all the time. And we wouldn't have these barriers and divisions and separations and wars between the light we think we represent, good and truth and honesty, and the black, the evil side, where we are fighting the jihadism, another ism from the selfism. They believe everything that they believe to be so true and truthful and righteous and on the side of God. They kill you in the name of God, and they're happy about it. And they are so brutal that it sit in amazement sometimes that women don't pick up guns like the Kurd women and the people that have to protect themselves. I saw it when I visited Israel back in the 80s and was absolutely shocked to see a community have to rely on constant protection. And I understand, because I visited their kibbutzes in the Dead Sea, and I witnessed and went underground in their bomb shelters, and I stayed in a hotel within an hour of our entire history as a Bible. I mean, you name it, I was near it at the Dead Sea. And I reflected and thought, because I had been going through that self-enlightenment, and I understood the Bible backwards and forwards. I did all my, church duties. I went to Bible school as a Lutheran in Ohio. I understood what we had been programmed to believe was the Bible, and it was all written in this area. And I cherish the Bible. I believe it to be the best compilation of truth and analogy and parables and wisdoms that fit in today's modern society better than ever. Because if we all accept there is a creator and there was a force that got us all here at this moment in time together, and gave you the free will to believe that whatever's happened in the past is over and done, and it should not contribute other than as a snapshot and a memory and a learning lesson, and it shouldn't be emotionally brought forward as an evil thought of hate or doubt or fear, any of those minions that live on the dark side of a person's life. I'm trying to get you to adjust just a little bit by slowing down, loving yourself a lot more, loving your neighbors as well as you do yourself, and do this within the loving framework and guidance of that cosmic consciousness or all-encompassing God force known as a creator. I think if anyone honestly evaluated their views of God, the Western civilization has evolved to the point where, a lot of them believed it was a white guy, like I said, sitting in the clouds on a pearly throne with a couple angels at the door picking who comes and doesn't into heaven. I give my thoughts and in my comments and determination in my 2 volumes, and that's the reason why I have been patient and gave 30 talks to get to this point, to be able to convince whatever meager following that is collected. And I've sort of ridden this wave of Tweeterverse out there before election, and I can understand a liberal and a conservative point of view, because I think I see it from a little higher level. But I also see that there has to be an agreeing or a meeting of the minds and the hearts in order for there to ever be any direction. But if we lie and cheat and deceive people, then those that are in the truth have to rely on I don't know. I think a spiritual awareness that allows you to point out and feel the deceiver, the demon or devil in your crowd or group. And with a positive, loving attitude, I believe everyone can go forward into a better future by just taking care of the little things that you run across every minute of the day, and you try to do the right thing, and the right thing should be the good thing. It should be the loving thing. It's the concern for other thing as much as you are concerned for yourself. So I know I've talked a lot, more than I wanted to. Again, I apologize. But my next discussion will be Monday, and I want to address the topic of good versus evil, right versus wrong, light versus dark concept. Just before I jump into next week's true meaning and reason for the way things have evolved. And you'll understand it when I get to next Wednesday. But anyhow, until then, Godspeed.